If that sounds weird, think how I must feel because I can't unsee anything.
I started Bear Meets Life when I was looking for ways to relax as an autistic person because I'm hypersensitive to noise and everything sensory, so sight, touch, smells, and also just neurotypical world is quite often overwhelming to live in if you are autistic. I'm nearly at the end of the adult colouring book I've been working my way through, and I never really intended to build an entire channel out of filming those gel pen sessions. I started it kind of as a joke to myself. So I am still going to post those pictures, but they're going to be as a background to talking about some other topics that we might have in common. So I would definitely like to share more about autism in case that's helpful to anyone else.
That was another thing that happened during my first year of blogging, which is that I got the autism diagnosis that I probably should have had a few decades ago. And that was one of the things that has completely changed my approach to organisation and my understanding of so many things. So I assume it's an autistic trait because I don't know anyone neurotypical whose memory works in the same way as mine. But if you know what a flashbulb memory is, I feel like I have those, but in the thousands. This isn't scientific, by the way. This is just my anecdote of what it's like to be autistic and why I think it's amazing. But it presents unique challenges also. From a processing standpoint, I have to be careful what I consume because that can get very overwhelming very quickly. If you don't know, a flashbulb memory in psychology is the idea of, like, if I said to you, do you remember what you were doing the day that Princess Diana died? And so it's meant to be that something so extraordinary happened, you print that in your memory because it was unusual and something special was happening, and just everything about the context makes it like a flashbulb going off in your mind. My brain seems to create flashbulb memories all day long for the majority of visual information. So that's how I can watch a behind the scenes video or videos about Spider-Man once, and then months later go straight to that interview in my mental filing cabinet, go straight to that interview online, because my mind will have stored like a handy picture of who posted the interview and what the context was to help me find it again instantly, and I can go straight to the point in that interview that something is said and snip that out for my curation. It probably helps that I also watch as much as possible with closed captions, so I'm also seeing in my mind not just what was said by who and how, but I'm reading at the same time, so I'm also capturing like a little transcript in my head without choosing to. So remember earlier when I said facial expressions don't give me a lot of meaningful information, why do I still enjoy movies and TV shows if that's not where I'm processing most of the emotion, apparently? And why is that easier than communicating in real life? So one reason is that real people don't come with subtitles, and that's why one of my missions this year with my content was to have really good, accurate closed captions on my YouTube videos if possible. I suppose one thing I learned about blogging is that I don't know anyone else in my niche who's autistic, and I also didn't know I would be in a minority within a minority, because apparently nearly 80% of autistic people struggle with employment and money. But I live independently and I have a degree and I had management careers and I'm very comfortable managing money and creating wealth. But I figure I have a duty to talk about that in case there's a narrative that needs shifting. It doesn't mean that I don't also enjoy certain accessibility features. I am legally disabled as well. Who knew? Well, I know now. I didn't know before. If that sounds weird, think how I must feel because I can't unsee anything. And that's also why I don't follow a lot of people or spend a lot of time on social media outside of YouTube, because I just don't have the mental capacity to store your life inside my life, if that makes sense. I'm at my daily limit. I definitely do not want to see what you have for breakfast most of the time. I think I've got space for Harry Styles.
Is there no one else?
Personal finance, some other lifelong special interests like Buffy, and a very short list of related topics, as well as I have space for what I need to actually do on a daily basis, like work for a living, cook my own food. So the concept of a second brain, like if you buy the course that Ali Abdaal promotes, I'd be interested in trying that to see if it really does replicate this sort of superpower of mine. But the distinction is that the second brain, as it's taught to neurotypical people, is it teaches you to capture everything in like note-taking software, and then you're meant to go through like a whole process of then connecting that to other things in your note-taking software. I don't need to write down the majority of what I've seen. So channels like Broe, Dashanelle, and those kind of essay channels, she has to enlist all these researchers to go and watch mountains of footage and live and breathe that person. Or D'Angelo Wallace is a good example. He talked about when he made his essays about the Paul brothers and some other dodgy YouTubers, maybe not Logan Paul anymore, but that he spent like a month solid deep diving their channels and doing endless research in print and video, and that ultimately it's bad for his mental health, but also it means that he's having to absorb a lot of information about someone I don't think he's ever even met. I was watching channels like Broy-Chanel and thinking, how are they updating so frequently? And the answer is often that other people have either got like an army of free helpers, or they're paying someone to help them, or they are jeopardizing themselves massively on a personal level to bring that thing to you. So my unfair advantage is that I don't have to do any of that wading through the research for a month. The downside, which I mentioned, is that I still have a really time-consuming process to go from idea to upload. And I think that's because I still have a huge amount of information at my fingertips that I can synthesize, probably because I just consume too much. Like, I get a huge amount of media every day, and the point behind a second brain is that you're meant to look at your taking software of what you read, watch and listen, and make connections between those things so that you can learn new things and understand the world more deeply. Most of us read a book, can't tell anyone what it was about, watch a movie, forget how it ended a week later, even though you really enjoyed it. But my second brain is in my head, and all of my daily processing with every YouTube video, podcast, blog post, TV show, who watches TV anymore, but still, is connecting all those things to each other and to those thousands of Flashbulb memories. So the media library inside my editing software pretty much matches the media library in my head. And the only off switch is either when I'm reading, which is still consuming something, or when I'm asleep. And that means it might still take me 1 to 3 weeks to edit just one installment of Save Like a Bear, not because I don't know where to find the source material or because I have to invent and research material, but simply because the argument that my mind has constructed might mean referring to 20 interviews from the past 4 years and then scripting something that logically links those together in a way that's helpful to you. I would not exchange being autistic for being normal, whatever that means, because I finally found a use for my unusual memory. And there are people who look like they could kill you and would actually kill you to have a memory like mine.